Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's this week's session of Raise Ready Live. And today we have a very special guest with us by the name of David Price. He and I met last week or 2 weeks ago, and he was kind of walking me through some of his challenges that he was experiencing in regards to kind of building interest in from other investors in joining his efforts. And so I'll just kind of summarize a little bit about his background. David is a physician. Is that the right terminology there?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Great. So David is a physician, and he has seen firsthand what investing in real estate can do for his personal life. And so he is on a mission to spread the word to other physicians and pretty much invite them in partnering with him on his investments from a passive standpoint. David, is there anything else you'd like to add before I kind of go into some of the challenges that you shared with me?
No, just, it's my struggle is to be authentic, and grow. So
Sure. And so a little bit of background here. You shared with me that your current, I guess, primary method of building your audience and your investor base is by hosting actual in-person live events, and they're generally in a panel type format where you invite other sponsors, maybe people from legal and possibly property managers and just various contacts, professional contacts that you've had in order for them to share kind of the benefits and from their perspective in terms of raising for real estate. Any other color you'd like to add to that part of it?
No, I would say that's the best way I thought to be the most authentic is to get them in person instead of doing webinars, and the people that are most interested are the ones that are actually going to show up.
Got it. Okay, great. So what I'd like to do now is, Chris, you kind of know a little bit of background here, and there is a website that I have in front of me that David put together. Is called getfreed.com, get-freed.com. And it's sort of your educational platform, right? And so what I'd want to do is, Chris, maybe go over some of the strategies that we can help David augment his current processes. And so let's say he wanted to keep the in-person events. How might a digital platform enable him to get more out of his efforts? And how can a digital platform not only help him get more out of his in-person events, but also add on a whole additional arm for spreading his message to other physicians? So I'll start there, Chris.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to kind of look at the website here, and we'll kind of go through this together and talk about those things. Right. So one, I want to say what we have here is a great start. One, you'll see what's going on in the background here. Something that a lot of people forget is that this is a lifestyle thing, right? People are investing as a means to an end, and they really want to experience something like being free with their family and getting to spend time with their kids. And this does a really good job of illustrating that. Now, what I will say could be added to this, is the main CTA. We see it that it's up here in the navigation, but having it down here would be great. Now, this would be especially awesome if we have an active deal, right? And say, hey, it's Fund 1, right? It's a Get Freed Fund 1, and they can go ahead and have a link here to a kind of landing page that would have a much more intent behind it, right? Like, hey, this is the only thing you're meant to focus on, learning about this opportunity, and essentially being able to make book a call from there, making a decision. And that decision is, do I dive deeper? Do I explore further? Do I get on a call to learn more? One more thing, and I'm not going to dive too deep into all of this, but one of the things I will say is that it's clear that we're using an investor portal called Syndication Pro here on the investor login. Now, something that's really cool about Syndication Pro that I do not see with any of the other investor portals, which is why I'm a big fan of Syndication Pro, is that what you can do when they register now to invest, you might want to start them here at this page, at the sign up page, and that would be a better place to start rather than just the login. And what you can do is you can use third-party webhooking services like Zapier, or Zapier, I think, is where they have their webhook. But Syndication Pro specifically has an integration where if somebody signs up here, you can pass that information to your CRM, right? So as soon as somebody jumps on, let's say somebody's user experience, their path is that they've reviewed the material, they like what they see, and they're like, hey, you know what? I want to be a part of this, right? I want to know more. I want to get on the platform. They go here. Let's say they wise up and they say, oh, okay, I got to register now to invest, and they sign up here. Now you have their information on both platforms, and they'll be continuing to get your automated email sequence, right? So I think just small tweaks like that, I think are wonderful.
Does Go High Level have that?
Go High Level would be the automated, where the automated sequences would come from, right? So the putting them into that CRM would facilitate this kind of ongoing automatic communication, right? So I think that would be wonderful.
You'd be able to sync the investor portal with any CRM, including Go High Level.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and well, I'll say one more thing before I do that. Back in the day when Vitaly and I first got started, we would do things soup to nuts. So we would create websites like this, right? Where it's like, hey, about how it works, resources, contact, all that good stuff, and it's really valuable information. It should still be used as a supplemental trust builder. This is a trust building game, and people want to vet you when they learn about you, learn more about you. So this is a great resource to have. Would not get rid of this, right? But what Vitaly and I have started focusing on is kind of the tip of the spear, right? And I kind of want to share what that looks like. So let me pull that up. Thought I had it up, but I'm going to go ahead and pull these two tabs up and kind of share what I mean when I'm talking about tip of the spear, okay? All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen now. There we go. Awesome. Now, let's say David has a fund up and running right now, right? And he's like, hey, I need to get attract accredited investors to this opportunity, and I want people to know about this. And we're saying, hey, okay, let's do this, right? Let's build a funnel, right? This is one of our 4 pillars, and funnel is a huge part of it. Now, this is an example, Shaker Moreland project that we did for a previous client, but you'll notice there's no navigation. There's nothing else for them to do except watch this video and plug in their information. That's it. And then hit this button, right? And let's just learn a little bit more about the opportunity and plug in information. That is it. So this is what we call a warm intro video. These people did a very nice job with theirs. Got really cool shots, B-roll footage, and really shared a lot about the market. But it's a very quick introductory video that's simply saying, hey, this is an opportunity that we have. We're excited to share more. We'll see you on the other side. Drop in your info, right? That's the essence of this video. They're not diving too deep into the opportunity yet. Now, once we've got their info, right, they say, hey, first name, last name. By the way, this information can also be collected on Meta, right, through an online advertisement. You can collect that information up front, and then you would take them here to the webinar. Of course, it doesn't load because we're holding a webinar here. Here we go, right? And this is where they start to break down the opportunity, right, in an automated fashion. It's just them presenting over the deck and inviting questions to come in via email or call, and encouraging them to get on the call from that point, right? You see that they have their calendar right underneath, so people can go ahead and book a call, and sub CTAs are emails and sign up for the investor portal. Now, why is this so important? Everybody talks about in business, they talk about scalability, right? Like scaling, it's almost like a buzzword. What does that mean? Like, what do you do to scale? Like, what is the mechanism for scaling? Well, it's like cloning yourself. Video, right? You don't have to. David does a great job, and I think it's a very an intimate setting when you have a live webinar and people can ask questions then and there. There's nothing wrong with that. You can do that. But if you're looking to scale and talk to people while you're sleeping, while you're out doing XYZ, going to the beach, whatever that looks like, you can still educate people about your opportunity in an in-depth fashion. How we do that is we create this video and you present over your deck, and you're able to kind of reach out to people at scale, right? And so this is huge. But the main CTA, again, notice on this page, there is no navigation. There's nowhere else to go. The only thing you do here is become educated about the opportunity, and you can reserve a time. There are sub CTAs, but again, they're sub, right? And they said that this one promotes contact, and this one gets them on your investor portal, right? And we got the legal stuff down here. That's great.
And how did people navigate to this specific deal, specific website? Was that sent in a promotional email, basically?
Yeah. So there's multiple ways this can happen, right? So one, let's talk about maximizing the potential of your own list, the list that you currently have. Okay. So an opportunity comes up. There should be a sequence that's going to invite people to learn a little bit more, kind of a build up, if you will, right? Not just like, bam, hey, it's here, everybody shoot. It's kind of like a build up, like, hey guys, something's coming over the horizon. First, I'm going to give my, my previous investors exclusive access. You let them know they have 48, 72 hours before you send it out to the whole list. Whole list gets it. And what they're getting invited to, the current list is getting invited to this page, right? So, hey, express your interest. Even if they're on your list, it's okay. They can sign up again. They want to know about this opportunity in particular, right? They would get tagged. We would know that they are actually interested in what we're offering right now. Upon doing that, then they would go to the webinar, learn more, and they can go ahead and end the call from there. That's an internal mode of communication, right? That's the existing list. The external mode of communication looks like paid advertising, organic messaging, things like that. Now, here at RaiseReady, we're pretty heavy with the paid advertising side because it gets the fastest results. It gets people that are looking right now that would be intrigued by an ad that promotes this, and they're wanting to jump on and give their info in order to learn more, right? So that's what I would say about that. Vitaly, go ahead and jump in here.
Yeah, I want to add some color to this whole thing a little bit. So we have data, and we've been able to test this out digitally, that, comparing kind of an evergreen educational sequence versus something that is specific to the actual capital raise. And we find that more people schedule calls around learning about a specific raise and how it'll impact their specific portfolio rather than the educational side. We were under the impression that maybe, we'll create this educational thing and we'll get people just introducing themselves and things like that. But that didn't garner nearly as much interest as advertising for the specific offering. Okay, so that's number one thing I want to mention there. Number two, what I want to mention is that how you'll be able to leverage your in-person events here. And so I believe there's currently not, and this goes into how we design our presentations. This webinar that Chris was talking about it would be built on top of a presentation that we help create, and so this includes a little bit of educational components up front. It also includes a couple of case studies so they can get a very visceral understanding of how how if they were to invest $50,000 or $100,000 in any of your previous offerings, what that money would have been today, right? So it's like, okay, well, I better not miss the next one because look, I already missed this one here, and this is what has happened. And so then there's a call to action of then learning more about the specific offering. And so in your in-person events, what I would do is obviously you're collecting attendees, contact information, and what you would do is you would feed that information, the contact information, into your CRM, which would kick off automated email campaigns. So you already have a nurture sequence that's built out, and that could be 5, 10, 20 emails, but it should just be here. There's a sequence of emails that's really close to the front, and then there's kind of an ongoing, repeated monthly, bi-weekly newsletter, and then so you plug them in yourself. So this email sequence is built specifically around with conversion in mind, and it would be kind of your job to build that in-person contact and then plug them in on their behalf as if they're the ones that are doing it from your events. And then another thing too is that I used to host a lot of in-person events, and one of the things I learned is that, and this is kind of obvious, is that not everyone's going to be able to make the in-person event, and so having a digital aspect to it is nice. And what I found is that you'll actually get, and there's actually a way to build a community digitally as well. And so one of the sponsors that my wife are currently invested in, they have weekly events where you can just pop in and say hello and just kind of meet the rest of the investor base. And that would be a really good way to sort of try transitioning a live in-person event. So it's not just people in your area, it's people all around the nation. So you'll get more of a turnaround there. So it just kind of allows you to reach more people. And so that's a couple of points there. One more additional point I want to make is that based on your list and your investor avatar, which I think you have a very specific and a very good one, you'd be able to reach more of those people online and drive them into your kind of digital experience. And then eventually, if you have enough of a community, you could either continue hosting sort of live weekly events online, or you can continue having in-person events. There's a lot of value there, but as I mentioned, a couple of limitations there as well that I feel like might be hindering you just a little bit there.
With what frequency do you think in-person and webinars? I was thinking in-person every 2 months, just because they're hard to do. And then the webinars I was going to do every month, but I didn't even think about weekly. That just may be a little bit too much work. But
sure. Yeah. So the format of the weekly is a little bit different. It's not necessarily a webinar. It's sort of like it's very much a meeting like the one we're in right now, where it's very casual. You come in with questions. You come in here just to simply introduce yourself and get a feel for, and it's sort of like an ask us anything type session. What I would urge you do is, as part of your webinar pitch deck, carve out like a couple of slides and create a mini version of it, so that when you are hosting in-person events, you do have a presentation each and every time with a very specific call to action. You already have their contact information that you're going to be plugging into their CRM, into your CRM automatic, manually. And then, so really it becomes a format like this. You have an on-demand webinar that you're going to get traffic from online automatically through an advertising campaign based on your avatar of other physicians interested in private equity and real estate. That's ongoing, and then they're going to get fed through the machine. Then they're going to get they're going to be part of your email contact list. Then what you're going to do is you're going to reach out every single week. There's going to be a kind of a virtual meet and greet, kind of like this, where you just invite anybody to join in. Then you're going to send an email post that event, just kind of summarizing what you talked about. And this would be a great place for you to invite any panelists or any kind of a fireside chat with somebody, or any topic that you want to talk about. And that would happen weekly. So very, very casual. Also have that mini presentation that you just walk people through, just to cover all the high level talking points of benefits of investing in passive real estate, for them to get to know you a little bit about your personal background, how you got into it, so they get a rapport built with you. And then if you choose to have any in-person events, like once quarterly or something, for then to have a meetup and then invite your entire contacts list. So let's say somebody does want to fly out, or they are in town visiting or something like that, you can certainly do that. And I think that that'll get you a little bit more bang for your buck. And I know you mentioned too that you had a videographer come out and shoot the event. That's totally worth the money there, to have somebody to get photos of you speaking in front of the group, even if you don't convert any of those people there, because the video content and the B-roll and the photos that are going to come out of that event, we're going to be able to position digitally. And that's where you're going to see the value there, because it's going to be at scale. It's going to put you, right at the top in terms of like trust.
Again, trust building at scale, right? That's the key.
Let me ask you a question. So, from the Hormozi kind of ideals of, make sure that you something you're selling and, you be the Apple of the world. FREED originally stand for free real estate education for doctors, but I was like, nobody wants anything for free, right? And so I make these events 30, 50, $30 or so, and I don't make any money really. I just don't want people to cancel, and I want them to be vested. What about a webinar though? I mean, do you charge for the webinar? And I've struggled with making it, cost something. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
From an educational standpoint, that could be pretty good, right? And say, hey, this, especially if it's a beefier content, right? Hey, we're going for an hour and a half kind of thing, and I want you to come show up to these kinds of things. Typically, when we do these raises in the style that I was sharing earlier, there's not really a cost to get to the other side, right? We're trying to get them to commit from there. And that should be, that's the ultimate cost, right? Hey, just invest. So, I mean, that's typically what we've done on our side. In full transparency, we've never experimented with having it paid to see like, hey, you're a lead now, you're here, but you have to pay to see the other side, right? And I don't even know what the legal ramifications are around that or anything. Everybody watching this, consult your legal professionals. But that's what I'll say about that. Vitaly, would you care to add any color?
Yeah, I would. And I think that people's contact information is pretty sacred, and that's worth a lot, even if it's not necessarily them showing commitment via a dollar amount. It's them trading their sanity of their inbox and their, text messages on their phone or whatever, right? And so that's their way of saying, hey, I'm interested in learning more when they give you legitimate contact information. And that to me is plenty good personally, but then it's our job to sort of, and our partner's job to sort of follow up with these people who get into the funnel just to learn a little bit more, even if it's just to simply say, hey, just here to introduce myself personally. My name is David, and here's, is there any question that you have right now, or why did you express interest in this? Like, what are some challenges you're personally experiencing as a physician? Here are some challenges that I've had, and just start the conversation that way. And it's just a matter of us preparing this whole system in order for you to get as many high quality conversations as possible. And that's really the goal of this whole thing.
Yeah, I've after my events, I really struggle with getting them on a call. I think a lot of them are new, and I tell them to get the hands-off investor, and I feel like a lot of them want to learn more. They don't want to feel dumb, and they want to go home and do their homework and educate before they get on a phone call. And who knows if that ever happens, or analysis paralysis sets in, and then it never happens. So the rate of each meetup of me getting on the phone with them afterwards is super low. And yeah, I haven't figured out how to, I want to educate them. I don't care if they don't invest. Like, I'll answer their questions about the single family rental they want to buy down the street. I'm here to help. But they won't even take me up on that. So do you have any suggestions on a call to action, maybe during the event? Or
Yes, I was just going to say during the event. One, I just want to say, David, I think it's awesome that your heart is truly in this, right? You want to answer questions, even if they're unrelated to the investment you might be offering and things like that. And that goes a long way. The way you just communicated with us right now, that same sentiment should be communicated, on the webinar. Now, this one would
or in person.
Yeah,
right?
Or in person as well, right? And this would move the needle just a little bit. I'm not saying this is the one technique, right? There's no magic bullet, but it's an accumulation of these tactics that make up the strategy. One of those things is, just like you said, during the webinar, you make the call to action happen, and it sounds something like this, right? You're going through your slides, say, and guys, if you have any questions, and I do mean any questions, right? It doesn't have to be related to this opportunity, but maybe you're thinking about an SFR down the street, and you want to ask somebody and get some counsel on that. Book this call right now. Do not wait. The calendar, the link is right here. Book it now. Did you book it yet? Book it now. Great. Okay, awesome. Moving on. And that happens several times throughout. Now, I know it sounds gimmicky, like, Chris, would that really work? But I'm telling you, it's like breaking the fourth wall, right? Like the you're breaking through and you're saying, hey, there's a mode going on, right? Usually when we do presentations and things, people just kind of get in, okay, now it's time for me to sit back, let information wash over me, and we lose the interactivity of it all, right?
Mhm.
There's a kind of a reaching through the screen type of energy that needs to be brought to the table. And it's like, look, I know you're watching this. Bob, Joe, in the comments, did you book your call yet? Go ahead and book that call. Hey, even if it's just to say hi and you enjoyed the presentation, I'd love to get on the phone with you. Go ahead and book that now. Jane, Jill, did you go ahead and book that call? Awesome. I can't wait to talk to you guys. Awesome. I'll see that. Oh, I see a call booked here. Great job, guys. But way to take action. Boom, boom. All right, moving on. Right.
And that's the end of this call. David, I'll follow up with you via email as well, just to kind of summarize everything. And that is it. If you'd like to participate in a session just like this one and would like for us to take a look at your marketing materials, and we'd be totally happy to take a look at it, total open book, on our next Tuesday call. So just respond to wherever you see this video, if it's in the comments on YouTube or in your inbox, just reply and send us some materials and we'll take a look and we'll invite you to the next call. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next one.